Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. We'll talk LSU and Northwestern State in about 15 minutes. Tigers and Demons from the box at 6:30 this evening, incidentally. If you'd like to listen to that ball game, you certainly can on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Pregame at 6 o'clock and first pitch at 6:30. Chris Blair will be on the call from the box. My preview is up at LouisianaSports.net right now if you'd like to read it. If you want to wait 15 minutes and just listen to me talk about it, we'll do that coming up in 15 minutes. Unfortunately, we do start the hour with a bummer of a news story. I felt this pretty strongly walking out of Tiger Stadium on Saturday. Matt Moscone is reporting over at LouisianaSports.net, confirmed it this morning. Aidan Anding lost for the season with a torn Achilles. Anding was the number one cornerback in the state of Louisiana in last year's high school class. Came in, played in 8 games largely on special teams as a true freshman this past season, and was primed to compete on the depth chart at corner for significant playing time in this coming season. And he tore his Achilles on Saturday. As I was sitting in the press box, I'll tell you what I saw. I saw Aidan Anding make probably the 2 best plays of the scrimmage. And Lane Kiffin said today when he met with the media that Anding was one of the MVPs of the workout inside Tiger Stadium on Saturday. In the first play, he went up over Corey Barber and made a heck of an interception near the goal line. Just an awesome leaping ball skills play to come down with an interception. The second interception was a throw out to the right, and he picked it moving towards the far sideline. I'm in the press box side of Tiger Stadium. And from our vantage point, keep in mind there's no tackling in the scrimmage. From our vantage point, it looked like he just went down. And you started looking, and he wasn't getting up. I talked about this on yesterday's show before we had this news. He wasn't getting up. And some of his teammates kind of waved the staff over, and then some of them kind of walked away, and the medical staff came over. And Anding was not able to put any weight on his foot leaving the field. And I just saw that, and I went, that's not great, because he didn't get tackled. And then when he spent upwards of 25 minutes on the medical table, there's no medical tent like on a Saturday. They fold that thing up and hide all the activity. This is just out on a medical table. And I didn't have my binoculars, but he was on that table for 25, 30, 35 minutes and didn't get up. If he tweaked his ankle, I don't think they would have done that. They took his pads off. Some of his teammates came to dap him up. And I looked at that and said, that's a guy who couldn't put any weight on his foot. It was a non-contact injury. He didn't come back to play. They put a boot on his foot. This doesn't look great. It just didn't. And I wrote what I saw on LouisianaSports.net. I talked about it on yesterday's show. I certainly didn't give any injury specifics because I didn't know him. But we found out that he did tear his Achilles. And it just looked like that. Certainly you're not going to speculate. It just looked like that. So huge bummer for Aidan Anding, who I think was primed to crack into the rotation. He wasn't going to be, in my estimation, a starting corner for LSU, but I think he was ready to crack into the rotation. And let's be very, very frank about LSU's situation at cornerback right now. It is very, very, very thin. Very, very, very thin. You still have your starters. Like DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland are your starting corners. Jakeem Jackson is now going to be a 4th-year college player that Corey Raymond has brought to 2 different places. He is 3rd up in the cornerback depth chart. He probably goes to the boundary and kicks P.J. Woodland inside if he comes in the game. But you go to a 3rd DB, you have one of those 2 guys get hurt. Jakeem Jackson is next. Beyond that, you are really thin and very, very short on guys who have contributed much. Now, Anding hasn't contributed much, but he's a guy that Corey Raymond really liked. And obviously had 2 really good plays on Saturday. So with him gone, your next group up is Michael Turner, who is, yes, in his third season, also rail thin, like just a very, very skinny player out on the perimeter. You've got Amari Peterson, who was a late transfer in. You've got Traylon James, who comes in from McNeese. And then you got a pair of freshmen in Havon Finney, who is here for spring workouts, but is reclassified and is a year younger. He's younger than everybody out there. And then you've got Des Ellis, who isn't even enrolled yet. He's a summer guy. So, like, you got Pickett, Woodland, and Jackson. Good. That's a good start. Beyond that, it's a bunch of real question marks. Now, I trust Corey Raymond implicitly with the evaluation at that position. There are guys that he identifies that are 5 stars that he wants and gets. There are guys he identifies that are 3 stars that he brings in and develops. He's got a great eye for that. He's a great developer. We talked about Corey Raymond late last week and just how great a job he does with LSU in the secondary. But you don't have much beyond those top 3 in the way of real live snaps. So that wasn't a problem this time last year. This time last year, you could go jump in the portal and grab somebody. And LSU did that last year with Bernard Gooden. Like, they went and got a defensive tackle in the spring portal window. Kiffin had some success in the spring portal window last year. Ever heard of Trinidad Chambliss? They got him in that window. You could find a 5'11", 195-pound man to come play in the spring portal window last year. That portal's window's gone. Doesn't exist. You can't go get a high schooler either. You don't have an option to supplement this position group. So this is not a blow to your first group out. When Clemson breaks the huddle or takes the field, as it were, next September, this coming September, I should say, like, Anding wasn't going to be on the field for that first play, in my estimation. That's going to be Pickett, Woodland, Jackson, and then some sort of group of Ty Benefield, TaMarcus Cooley, Deshaun Spears. That's your first 6 guys. That's your first 6 DBs. But Anding was bidding to break into that, and I think could have. Now, you're one short there. You've still got 6 guys at the front of this group. And you've got some guys that I think the staff likes. I think they like Jace Thomas. I think they like Fahim Delane. But those are safeties. Those guys can play a little bit of star and nickel as well. They're not corners that cover. And corners that cover, you're razor thin. You just are. And so this is one of those, today, not a huge deal. If you were playing a game today, not a huge deal. One of those other corners is dinged up or gets a targeting ejection. You don't have guys that have played. You just don't. So it's going to be Corey Raymond's job now to work on getting some of the guys toward the bottom of this rotation ready to go. And it's a challenge. And you hope that you don't have to dip too deep into that well, but you just can't be sure. Injuries happen. Last year, Mansour Delane got hurt. And I know that Lane Kiffin tries everything he possibly can to avoid injuries, especially in spring. They're not going to practice at all in spring football. Sorry. They are going to practice. They're not going to tackle at practice at all in spring football. That's in an effort to try to keep his team healthy. And unfortunately, Gabe Relaford, done for the year. Aidan Anding, done for the year. Without tackling, without the most physical part of the game, you've had 2 season-ending injuries. And this one was just freak non-contact stuff. I watched it with my own 2 eyes. Saw the interception, saw him kind of go down, was hoping it was a celebration, not an injury. Didn't get up for a while, and now we have our answer. So we saw it. Matt reported it this morning on LouisianaSports.net, and Lane Kiffin confirmed it today at Aidan Anding. Going to miss the entire season in 2026. That puts LSU in a really, really, really thin spot at cornerback moving forward. Big, big bummer for Anding, who was entering a year where he could really have made an impact. He'll have to wait, and hopefully he's ready to go for spring football in 2027. All right, that's cranking it up here in hour number 2. When we come back, let's talk some baseball. What do I want to see tonight from the box? We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. SwingEasyGCBR.com. What an awesome place to work on your golf game. You know, the weather warms up here, and at times it's great to go out and hit some balls, but maybe it's rained. Maybe the wind's blowing really hard, as it does sometimes around the river. Maybe you just can't find grass to grow on the range that you like to go to. Maybe you just like to work on your game in your privacy. That can happen. Whether you're a scratch player or a beginner, go to Swing Easy Golf Club and work on your game. Go to that driving range feature on the simulator. You can hit shots. You see the trajectory. You see the carry distance. You see where your club impacts the golf ball. That's a really helpful thing for me to see where I'm making contact on the face of the club. And you don't have to worry about variables like grass growing or not, or wind blowing really hard, or whether or not it's rained and it's wet. Or that's not a thing you have to worry about inside at Swing Easy Golf Club. We go by and see him at Segan at Perkins. Swing Easy Golf Club online at swingeasygcbr.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Tuesday show is brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Let me remind you about Lifetime Roofing online at lifetimeroofingla.com. Lifetimeroofingla.com. How about a lifetime workmanship warranty? Lifetime workmanship warranty. If you're questioning, like, well, what company would offer a lifetime workmanship warranty? Well, Lifetime Roofing would. Lifetimeroofingla.com. Baton Rouge based, but they'll service anywhere in the state of Louisiana over into the Houston area as well. Look, it may not always be a full roof replacement. They're happy to do that at Lifetime Roofing, but get the inspection done. If they determine at Lifetime Roofing that, hey, somebody may be trying to sell you a full roof here, but you just need to do a repair, we'll do that for you. If it's just a tune-up that needs to happen to fortify that roof before storm season hits, Lifetime Roofing's happy to do that as well. If it does come to a full new roof and you need to finance that, Lifetime Roofing can do it, and you still come and get that lifetime workmanship warranty that also backs the materials that they use at Lifetime Roofing. Looking to get a new roof? Check out my friends at Lifetime Roofing online at lifetimeroofingla.com. We know at this point that LSU has struggled in the midweek, and the struggles have come in different shapes and sizes. You had a brutal start to the season. You lost to McNeese. You lost to Louisiana Lafayette. You lost to Northeastern. You had a better go of it, even though they weren't the most aesthetically pleasing wins in the world. And then Bethune-Cookman happened last week. So it's been bad. And I think the root of the problem, not the entirety of the problem, there's plenty on that tree. But the root of the problem has been they can't find anybody to go out there and start a midweek game and get things off to a reasonable beginning. Last week, Marcos Paz goes out there and up and down in 5 pitches in the first inning. Sick. Awesome. And then 3 straight hits in the second, yanked from the game. Wildcats of Bethune-Cookman scored 3 runs in the inning, and they took control of the game. Southern, the week before, also scored 3 in the second inning. Jaden Nuke didn't make it through the second inning. You think you go with the veteran, he'll get us off to a good start against Southern. He couldn't make it through 2 innings. Grambling was the week before that. Reagan Ricken and Grant Fontenot did a nice job for 3 innings, but that was a month ago. Talking about a month ago, it was March 17th. And if you go back a week before that in the midweek, Creighton came in here. Reagan Ricken started. Dax Dothy came in the second. Ethan Plog, just not very good. Creighton led 4-0 after 3 innings. I've talked about their struggles as a team on the whole in the midweek, but really, here's what I'm asking for tonight. I don't think this is too much to ask. I really don't. You're playing a team from the Southland Conference. Now, they're leading the Southland Conference. They've got a pulse offensively. It's not a powerful team, not a team that's got a bunch of guys hitting for a high average. In fact, quite the opposite. But how about somebody just goes out there and gets the first 6 outs of the game without allowing a run? Like, that happens a lot in baseball. It's not an infrequent occurrence that a team doesn't score in the first 2 innings of a game. Just let the team breathe a little bit. Get off to a decent start. Maybe get control of this thing 5-0, and maybe your at-bats are a little bit easier in the 5th inning. maybe the leverage for some of the relievers is a little bit easier in a 5-0 lead than it is when you're down 4-1 and you got to come in there and everybody's gripping the baseball as tight as they possibly can. And I got people in the infield not making quality plays and we're throwing balls and hitting guys. And just how about a little bit of an easier effort here? I don't have the answer as to who the guy is who can get me 6 outs. Once again, I'm not asking for someone to go out there and throw 6 shutout frames to go beat Northwestern State. I'm looking for 6 outs here. 6 outs before it all goes to hell. Because that's what happens every week. Bethune-Cookman, Southern, Grambling, Creighton, Northeastern. Northeastern was up 10-0. Somebody give me 6 outs. I wrote this in a goofy game recap on LouisianaSports.net over the weekend because I'm trying to find different ways to tell the story of the same crap that keeps happening. But, hopefully Nike's doing a good job, or Marucci or whoever it is, of keeping Jay Johnson in comfortable tennis shoes. The guy's making 28 walks to the mound every time LSU plays a baseball game because he brings somebody in to get an out, and inevitably they hit 2 of the first 3 guys they face. Or they get bashed all over the yard, and he's got to go get somebody else. I'm already mentally prepared to watch LSU use 11 pitchers tonight to go play Northwestern State. I would prefer that not happen. Only 2 regulars in this Northwestern State baseball team hit 280 or better. 2. Thomas Marsala is good. He's got 9 homers. He's swung the bat well all year. But you're talking about the leading hitter for this Northwestern State team that has no home runs. You're talking about a Northwestern State team that doesn't hit for much power at all. And do they hit for a lot of average? Nope. 2 regulars over 280. Somebody step up and just get some outs. You don't have to shut them out. But, what if they only scored 2? And none of those 2 were in the first 2 innings? Boy, that would be something. So I asked Glenn West in the first hour, who would you give the ball to get things off to a good start in this game? And, Glenn said, I'm not really sure. And that's probably the right answer because I don't think Nate Yeske or Jay Johnson are very sure either. I have one option that there's not a lot of statistical reason to go to this option. And I certainly don't think it's some sort of obvious thing that the coaching staff has not yet done. But I looked at this just based on my eye test and thought to myself, that might be somebody who gives you a chance. And I'll toss it out there. This is who I would start tonight. I would start Dax Dothie. You look at this and go, why? How much has he even pitched? Not very much. Dax Dothie has thrown 4 1/3 innings, and he's got an 8.31 ERA. That's not exactly the most encouraging thing in the world. And yes, he has hit 4 guys in 4 1/3. But he's only walked 1, and he struck out 9, and he's old, and he's pitched a lot of college baseball, and I don't think he's going to be scared in front of what's going to be, 3,200 people in the first inning against Northwestern State on a Tuesday. I would start Dax Dothie and say, Dax, I need you to get 6 outs, and I need you to do it without walking people. If you need to throw fastballs over the plate, please do. If you need to spin breaking balls because that's what you feel comfortable with, please do. But you are 25, 26, however old Dax Dothie is, he's been playing college baseball for 6 or 7 years. Don't walk anybody and get me 6 outs. Now, again, there are guys on this team with way better numbers than Dax Dothie. Santiago Garcia has better numbers. Reagan Ricken has better numbers. His ERA is 3.29 for the year, but he walks a lot of guys. 9 of them in 13 and 2/3 innings. He's also hit 5 guys. So there is no slam dunk answer here. He's tried Guidry. He's tried Ricken. He's tried Paz. He's tried Cooper Williams. I would probably go with Dax Dothie. Second on my list, candidly, is probably Connor Benj. Connor Benj has made 9 appearances. He's thrown 3 1/3 innings. He has not walked anybody. He has not hit anybody. And he's old. 4th-year college player. These are my two guys. I'm not asking them to close the game in a one-run game in the ninth. If it doesn't go well, you're still in the same position you've been in every single Tuesday. You're behind the 8 ball again. So it's not a spot they're not comfortable with. And if we know one thing about this LSU team, when you face pretty subpar pitching, which they will tonight, they generally hit a lot. And the ball's probably going to be flying tonight. It's warm. It's a Tuesday. We're into the middle April. This is my answer for the midweek woes in early time. I fully endorse what Jay Johnson did with Paz and Rick. And he's said, and he's given the reason, these guys, we anticipate in their time at LSU in this program will be starting pitchers. I'd like to get them some experience starting games. You go out in the bullpen before the game starts. You're on the field for the national anthem. You do some things that you'll have to do later on in your career. You throw the first pitch of the game. You're seeing the leadoff hitter and the 2-hitter and the 3-hitter, which are the best hitters in the lineup. I understand all of that, but none of it has been especially fruitful to this point. And LSU's got its back against the wall trying to win these games and not have the RPI plummet any further than it is. So to me, give me some old guys that might throw a 91, 92 mile an hour fastball over the plate more often than not, that are less likely to have a complete meltdown and implosion. And let's see if you can get off to a good start. I will give my kingdom, which is worth very, very little, but it is a saying. I will give my kingdom for 2 shutout innings to start the game tonight. How's that? Just 2. 2 shutout innings to start the game. We'll see what happens in the 3rd inning. We'll play them from there. But my thought is maybe LSU's top hitters can get some things rolling in the early innings, and you will stop playing from behind 4-1 every single Tuesday. I'd really like that to happen. We'll see if it does. Jay Johnson talked about the injuries on this team last night. He said that Chris Stanfield is feeling better after treatment on Monday. He should be good to go tonight. That's according to Jay last night on his coach's show. No available report for the midweek games. Seth Dardar sounds very doubtful for tonight. He tried to give it a go on Friday and Saturday in Oxford after sliding into the base very, very awkwardly last Tuesday against Bethune-Cookman. Just being out there hurt it worse. It was not good for him to be out on the field. So I think he will sit. Braden Simpson is the very likely candidate to take that job at second base tonight. He had a big 2-out, 2-run hit on Sunday against Ole Miss in that 7th-run, 7th inning. So that's a guy who, at this level, the Southland level, which is what he was basically playing at High Point last year, raked. He hit .390 with 20-plus homers. So I like Simpson in this matchup against Northwestern State. We'll see if he can play a little bit of defense. But I'm less concerned with the offense. I believe tonight at the box, this LSU offense is going to score a little bit. I just would like to get off to a decent start on the mound. No 4-pitch walks to the leadoff guy. Don't hit 2 guys in the first. Let's try not to kick a double play ball around. Let's try to get some positive momentum going. Last week you were coming off a monster series win with a big comeback in the finale, and you let all the air out of the balloon against Bethune-Cookman on Tuesday. Let's flip that script. Atrocious weekend in Oxford. Awful. Just terrible start to finish. How about you flip that with some good stuff on a Tuesday? That's what I would like to see from LSU tonight. The game's at 6:30 against Northwestern State, who is, again, leading the Southland Conference at 14-7. They had won, I think, 6 series in a row prior to losing against Houston Christian in the rubber game back this weekend. So we'll see how things shake out. You can listen to it on E108.1. Pre-game will crank up at 6 o'clock. Chris Blair on the call, first pitch just after 6:30 from the box. We'll react to it tomorrow. I'll have a story up on LouisianaSports.net when it goes final. We'll come back, 30 minutes left to go on a Tuesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Almost summertime. You know what that means. Summer road trips with the family. If you need a little bit more room or need a new ride for those summer road trips with the kiddos, they've got some incredible SUVs over at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. I feel like everywhere I drive now, I see the Fabry Chevrolet sticker there on the back of those Tahoes, of those Suburbans, of those Yukons, Denali's. Clearly, y'all are heading up there to Highway 61 in St. Francisville and doing what this community's done for 35 years, trusting the Fabry family with a great buying experience and wonderful service after the sale. That's what they're going to do for you. They've done it for years and years and years now. New location on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. The entire inventory is online at FabryChevrolet.com, so go out and check it out there. But stop on by. Go see them in St. Francisville on Highway 61. Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Chugging along here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Lane Kiffin met with the media today after LSU's practice, and we had been able to watch about 2.5, 3 hours of LSU football practice since the time that we last spoke with Lane Kiffin. Saw about 2 hours on Saturday and saw over an hour today. So something that I was curious about, and he was asked about in the post-practice press conference, was the decision to put Bo Bordelon in at the left guard spot. Devin Harper had been running with the first team, and then over the course of the last 2 weeks, Bordelon has kind of taken that role. And as I've said many times, like the rotation in the spring sometimes means something, sometimes really, really doesn't. They're just trying to get guys reps. Sometimes you're looking at something for a practice or two. Sometimes a guy missed a meeting and he can't run with the first team because he doesn't know what they talked about there because he had to do something with a counselor. Like you never know what's going on. And so to jump to conclusions based on a couple of days or a couple of drills isn't really worthwhile. But Bo Bordelon has been in there with the first team next to Jordan Seaton for the last few practices. And the question was asked about Bo Bordelon.
He's just done a really good job. We moved him into guard and had a competition going there, and as of Saturday, won it, even though obviously we're not playing a game. But we don't just make a depth chart and you stay there. If you get outplayed, we move the depth chart, daily. And he's been doing a great job and deserved the right to go in there and start and did a good job and play tackle and guard. And I think coaching, that has nothing to do with whoever the coaches were before. Nothing to do with that. Coaching always, sometimes fresh starts are good for players, and guys come in and see different things or a different system. And our line coaches have been really excited about him from day one working. James Craig had a background with him back from when he was in high school, and so he's done a good job.
Bordelon was, in my opinion, I don't know this story intimately, but my opinion is that he was probably going to be at LSU if he was good enough, because his dad played at LSU. His dad was instrumental in the hiring of Lane Kiffin. He's an influential person in this state, and that's a guy that was born and raised purple and gold and was going to be part of the mix, but he hasn't played very much and has always stuck it out, and I guess was never going to go anywhere but LSU, and is now getting an opportunity with that first team. And they're looking at a lot of different things on the offense, because the offense is all new players and is trying to learn a new system and is, quite frankly, struggling a little bit with the defense. And I thought they looked a little bit better today, but I did watch all of Saturday, and it was ugly offensively. And Lane Kiffin talked about kind of the the process of getting the offense up to speed and just what he saw on Saturday.
That was discouraging in the moment Saturday, offensively. The way that we played, the lack of explosive plays, the lack of plays made in competitive situations. So that's discouraging, not where I would expect to be, but Charlie reminds me that, when we made a decision to sign Sam, that this was going to be part of it, that you weren't going to feel as good in the spring because he wasn't going to be available, so you don't have your quarterback, you don't have arguably your top receiver out there, but there's a lot of work to do there. It doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't, and that's why they got a spring, and they got a summer, and they got all of August to get things moving in the right direction. But offensive line is certainly something that's got to be significantly better than it was. And we talked about Bo Bordelon's insertion and what he may mean. I gave you some thoughts at the top of the show today about Jordan Seaton's one-on-one reps, which were absolutely phenomenal. Weston Davis won a couple of one-on-one reps today. You know that Braylon Moore has got some skins on the wall in the ACC and in the Southeastern Conference as well. So you feel like the offensive line is moving in the right direction, and it's got to. I think they'll be aided by a few different things this fall. I think they'll be aided by an influx of talent. You move in Jordan Seaton, you move in Devin Harper, you move in Aluba, you move in some options at right tackle. Tompkins comes in from Baylor, Harper comes in from Ole Miss. You've got an influx of talent, and I think they'll be aided by an offense that is a little bit more friendly to an offensive line, that spreads things out a little bit, that moves quickly, can tire defensive linemen out. And Lane Kiffin talked about the improvement he's seen even in the last 3 weeks with the offensive line.
Yeah, I think that offensively position has probably developed the best, through a couple weeks, and, has played well together, and in my opinion is dramatically improved from when we got here. So that's probably been the one bright spot as you re-looked at the film. Now again, like I said, I have really high standards and expectations, and we're not tackling, so that obviously creates more yards because there's missed tackles within a game and you feel a little better. But I think the offensive line is coming along really well.
Now, the other thing you heard Lane Kiffin say in the bite prior to that, as we move from the offensive line, is that, look, what Charlie Weiss told him is you don't have your starting quarterback. So you've got a couple of guys in very different spots. Husan Longstreet was a 5-star quarterback, went to USC, sat last year, but got some mop-up duty, but big-time talent who's looking for his next opportunity. Then you've got Landon Clark, who played a lot last year, was a starting quarterback at Elon, but it's Elon. It's a completely different world. So you've got those two guys trying to pilot this ship offensively. They're just not Sam Leavitt. They're not guys that have played a bunch of Big 12 football and have started a college football playoff game and a conference championship game and have been in an SEC stadium as a starter. Like, it's just a different deal. And so that's what you're looking at. But he's also, while Sam Leavitt is sitting, working with those two guys as potential starters later on, and at the very least, the backup quarterback this coming year for a guy that's coming off an injury. Let's start with Husan Longstreet and what he's seen from him.
Yeah, he had a really poor decision Saturday and one today, but he has played today and Saturday for a long portion of time within the scrimmage and the practice really well, and is playing his best by far from the practices since we've been here. So that's been obviously really good to see, and he's made a lot of plays in competitive situations that are off rhythm plays, which is to me a huge part of the quarterback, because the plays don't always go the way they're designed to go. And can the guy move around and make people miss and make off rhythm plays? Obviously, it's one thing we get all the credit for in coaching, but it's really the player, and can they make those plays in those critical situations is huge at that position.
So you talk about Longstreet and his talent. I watched him take off left tackle earlier today, and he's got some wheels. He can go a little bit, and so the arm is good as well. There's a lot to work with, but the decision-making's gotta come with it. And this is a fast offense. It's a new offense, and you're playing against a lot of good defensive players out there. So it's a learning process for Husan Longstreet. It's a learning process for Landon Clark, who's taken more of the reps with the first team instead of Sam Leavitt. And Lane Kiffin talked about Landon Clark as well.
Yeah, I think that showed Saturday. I mean, it just is what it is. I don't care what sports you play, even if it's recreational sports you guys play. Like, when you go play against really good people, all of a sudden it's harder and the windows are smaller, and you underthrow a little bit, it gets picked off here. So when you move up like he has, there is some challenges right away just to getting used to that and understand I can't get away with those habits that I had before in playing a position.
So it's just reps for those two quarterbacks. And I think that it was probably a little bit easier sell to get those guys to LSU because of how many reps they were going to get in the spring. For those that missed my first segment of the show today, your starting quarterback, Sam Leavitt, was attending practice. He was in a helmet. He was in shoulder pads. He didn't practice. He was just out there. He was standing behind the offense as they went through drills. He was standing with the coaches as reps were going on in front of him, but not taking any snaps, not handing the ball off, not making any throws. So the other two guys are getting a ton of runs. So is Emil Picarella. And while you're signing up to come in and not start and not play, which is very rare in the transfer portal, they are coming in with an opportunity to get a lot of reps in practice this spring and trying to take advantage of that. So we've hit a lot of the different aspects of offense, talked about the offensive line, talked about Bordelon, talked about the quarterbacks. Also, running back is a place that has been interesting. And you know what you have coming back in Harlem Berry, super talent, Caden Durham, all SEC freshman, and they've got some time in the program, and they've got some production behind them. Then you bring in 4 different options from the transfer portal, and one of them, to me, has really risen above the rest, and that's Dylan Jones from Wisconsin. He is big. He is physical. Kevin Smith likes the way he goes through drills, and we saw a good bit of him today, and Lane Kiffin talked about what Jones brings to this running back group.
He looks really good, has come in and been good in protection, been good in his vision, his feet, running the ball, and has been really a bright spot. Like I said, where offensively we've struggled to find those. And obviously, again, the tackling part, is a difference in that position specifically. But for a guy that wasn't a headliner, he's played like it. And that's really critical, because that spot is extremely critical to have somebody or a number of people that, again, just like the quarterback spot, makes the plays when everybody's not blocked up and makes the significant plays. And he's done that.
We can't tell everything from practice, but we can tell some stuff. What I can tell you is that Dylan Jones is going to play. Yep, there are 2 running backs back from last year's team. Dylan Jones is going to play. He's big. He's physical. He has great burst. He is really good in the drills that Kevin Smith puts his team through, his group through. We see more of the running backs up close and personal than any group on the field. They just happen to practice right next to where we're allowed to stand. So if you want to go by, we have to move out of the way for some of the running back drills. Like, they are literally where we stand. So we can hear every word Kevin Smith says. We can hear every coach of every rep. And Dylan Jones draws a lot of praise, does things the right way, and he looks different than the other backs. He's just bigger. So that's a guy you can hear it in Lane Kiffin's voice. You can see it in the reps with the individual periods, and you can see it in team periods. They snapped in the ball directly a couple times in short yardage today. He had some tough runs in there today, even though they're not tackling. And you can just tell that, yeah, Harlan Berry's going to play. Yep, Caden Durham's going to play. But absolutely, Dylan Jones is going to play for this LSU team. And they've got a lot of work to do on offense. But I, as I said at the top of the show, I really believe they were a lot better today than they were on Saturday. Saturday was tough. It was tough to watch. Today was a lot better. Had some really good things happening. And I think that as you trust Lane Kiffin, as you trust Charlie West Jr., and you realize the starting quarterback is not out there yet, there's a lot of growth that can happen between now and Labor Day for LSU offense, and it's at a lot of different positions as well. So that's our look at LSU football here. We did it for 3 segments today, so if you missed any of it, catch it on demand at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your sound, of course, on YouTube as well. That stuff's uploaded daily over at Hunt on LSU. We'll take one more time out, come back, close it up. It's a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. Right now is the time to make sure your commercial insurance policy is properly written. You don't want to do that when there is a hurricane in the Gulf. At that point, there will be a moratorium on coverage, and you'll have what you have. And if what you have is the cheapest thing you could find from a broker who just came in and promised to save you some money, that may hurt you on the back end if you're out of work for 2 weeks because we had a storm blow through. So look today. Call the Highland Insurance Group. Tell Jonathan Carver's team, hey, I just want to be sure that I'm in a good space for hurricane season. You have enough time right now to go through everything you need to go through to make sure that your building is properly evaluated, that you're properly zoned for flooding, that you have the right business interruption limit, that your deductible is right, whether it's a named storm, whether it's a percentage, wind and hail. Take care of all those things. You can't do it once the storm's already here. We know they're inevitable. It's been a nice, quiet couple of years around here, and I certainly hope there's another few quiet in front of us. But we all know that next storm is always coming, just a matter of when. Make sure your commercial insurance program reflects that and is properly written. If you don't know, contact the Highland Insurance Group online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Just a reminder to check out LouisianaSports.net. I mean, just today at LouisianaSports.net, broke the news of Aidan Anding's injury. That was up on our site first. Got a preview of LSU and Northwestern State tonight. We've got a full practice report for myself and Matt Moscona. Ross Jackson covering the New Orleans Saints. Got mock drafts coming out almost every single day. He's just doing an incredible job of comprehensively covering where the Saints may go next. That doesn't mean just the first round. He's done 7-round mocks over at LouisianaSports.net. So if you're a Saints fan, an LSU fan, you want free, comprehensive coverage, breaking news, practice reports, opinion columns, it's all there at LouisianaSports.net. We really appreciate you all for helping the site grow as much as it has over the last almost 2 years. It's been a lot of fun to get it off the ground, and it's running. So we'll have another midweek baseball post-game story up this evening. Hopefully it's in a more pleasant tone. I don't think my Saturday one was in a very pleasant tone. I was not super thrilled with how that went. Got 10-run ruled in Oxford, but it is what it is. That's what you got to do. So go check it out at LouisianaSports.net. Also got to tell you about Immense Cloud IT Management. Look, I think when we think IT, a lot of times you think about the one person, 2 people in your company that are overworked because everybody's computer's having issues. That's part of IT, but it's certainly not the whole picture. Immense IT Network is a completely different set of circumstances. They're a proactive consultant. They're here to make your business grow via the use of technology. So if you've got an overworked IT department or you've got a third-party department that's just not helping you at all, let the folks over at Immense come in. They don't have any contracts. They're here to help. They're Baton Rouge-based, LSU alums, and are certainly more than happy to become a consultant with you to help move your business forward. A lot of times business owners, employees don't even know that something's not working properly. That's where Immense can come in and go, hey, do you know that this can do this, that you can do this way, or that this is an issue here? You'd be shocked at what you might not know. Immense can help you. So find them at immense.net, immense.net. All right, let's do some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so with the FIFA World Cup coming to the United States, well, North America in 2026, the traditional tailgates at these venues like Arrowhead Stadium, MetLife Stadium, Gillette Stadium will be prohibited. In the case of MetLife Stadium, the parking lot will be largely unavailable. So for the fans, rather than tailgating, they'll be directed to like pregame festivities, special fan zones, or some little stuff they're talking about. So can the European mind not comprehend a tailgate? Take it or leave it?
I mean, I guess I got to take it. I mean, they're going to a lot of pubs and stuff over across the pond, but we like to get in the parking lot, throw some chairs down,
now.
Get the ice chest out.
Get the grill going.
That's part of the charm of American sport. I love it. Can't get enough. I mean, I like to watch. I like to get things going in a bar before games. Some of the most fun I ever had was before the 2008, which was 2008 national championship game that Hester and Flynn played in. I spent 9 hours in the quarter before that with my college buddies.
That's a good day.
It was a great day. A lot of time at Pat O's, a lot of times down at Lafitte's. Had a great day, and then they won. You can
remember that day. It's special.
Well, look, it was a long day. It went until like 6:45 a.m. So it was. But look, when you're a college sophomore, you've got superpowers.
Yeah,
so
time is not real.
It was a thing of beauty. But yeah, I mean, I love a good tailgate. One of the things I struggle to say dislike. One of the things I wish was different in my life is the fact that I can't tailgate because I got to go in there and write a game story or do a pre or post game show. And generally speaking, I can't go to Pat O's and do a post game show. That's not going to go super well. So pro tailgating. Let them tailgate.
All right, we got to get somebody to get Hunt some like a plate or something. So you walk into the stadium, got a plate waiting on you or something like that. So Flau'jae Johnson was drafted at 8 overall last night in the WNBA draft. That's now 3 top 10 picks under Kim Mulkey, Angel Reese, Anissa Morrow. So is LSU women's basketball becoming a WNBA pipeline? Take it or leave it.
I will take that. I mean, UCLA's had some picks last night. South Carolina's had some picks. UConn's had some picks, but LSU certainly holding its own in that regard. And Kim's running really good players through there. You can't. Jay Johnson says it. Kirby Smart says it. Everybody says it. You got to get players to win championships.
100%.
And Kim Mulkey has won championships. She knows she's got to get players, and she's gotten some good ones around here.
100%. One of the things I've heard on doing live at lunch, Jimmy has these guys that do the horse racing. The guy, I never forget this. He came on there and said, you can't win a Kentucky Derby with a jackass, and
That's
that
right.
Stuck with me so much. Like you need good players to get over the hump.
You sure do. What was it? That brought something to light. So Flau'jae, she gets picked by Golden State, Bay Area, and then gets traded to Seattle. That's not that big a mental hurdle.
Not really.
It gets kind of the same. It's not the same, but it's kind of. It's one thing. It'd be one thing if you got picked by Golden State and they sent you to Atlanta. Like that's a completely different world.
Yeah.
For someone who spent a lot of time in Louisiana, she spent 4 years in Louisiana.
Yeah.
To have you're going to the Pacific Northwest, you're going to the Northwest. It's the West. It's all kind of the same. Not a huge mental gymnastics.
And also,
think about if you're like Kobe, you got the Hornets to the Lakers. That's a different world. You're going right up the coast.
Raleigh, North Carolina to Los Angeles, California. You kind of can't even compare those on the sense.
You also can't compare the Hornets to the Lakers. In terms of it.
Yeah, very true. So Sergio Garcia apologized Tuesday for his outburst in the final round of the Masters. So my take it or leave it was the apology needed? Take it or leave it?
Take it. I mean, he was acting like a 4-year-old. Of course, the apology was necessary. Breaking drivers, looking like a clown.
And he's basically he broke it on his leg or something on the cooler.
Yeah, he's just a clown. He is the least likable golfer in the history of the sport.
Over Bryson?
Oh, easily. Bryson
Whoa, okay.
Bryson is harmless. He's just goofy.
Okay.
Sergio is just a jerk.
Okay.
And that's just all there is to it. So
That's it for it. Take it or leave it.
all right, that's it for us on a Tuesday. Want to see you out at Court the Table tonight, 8 o'clock, sports trivia. Be out of there by about 9:15. You can win gift cards and have something cold to drink, something delicious to eat. Hope to see you at 8 o'clock. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. That, of course, will be for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com. That's FABT.com. But stop on in. You stop on in First American Bank and Trust, you're going to see somebody you recognize. Why? Because it's a locally owned and operated bank, and every one of their 24 locations, shorter than one, 25 locations is here in Southeast Louisiana. So the people that work there are part of your community. And the people that work there are the people making decisions about your commercial loan or your residential loan for the home of your dreams. If you want local people making the decisions for your business, bank with a local bank, First American Bank and Trust. And when I say local bank, don't think, mom and pop shop. 25 locations. They've got the resources you need, the creativity you need for your commercial loan. It's First American Bank and Trust, 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. Online at FABT.com.